Hello, everybody. Thank Furlough it's Friday once again, and thank Furlough we got this far. Wow, what a week, eh? Busy, busy, busy all round. So a great welcome to all of those of you who've managed to stick it out and are with us today. I know some of you were burning the midnight oil and might have been a little bit late, but certainly one lady who was burning the midnight oil with good reason was Jacquie Mount, who is, of course, with me here today. Hi, Jacquie.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be back with you. So, seems like an age since we spoke.
It does, doesn't it, really? I think generally speaking, we've had a brilliant week. Everybody that we've spoken to so far thinks it was great. The ratings that we asked everybody to give after each of the events, I think the lowest we got was a 4.6 out of 5, which is unbelievable. You know, people were crying out for that sort of stuff. Most sessions seem to get 4.9 and many got 5, so that is great that you like what we did and that you are thoroughly enjoying having a virtual conference. I'm sorry it was virtual. Oh, well, it's dress down Friday, but I'm here with my tie. I found my ties and with my pocket handkerchief. It's not a sock, it's a proper handkerchief. If you have a look behind me,
wow.
I picked up my ties. There are some of my ties. I found them today, funnily enough, in a box. They've been hidden in with something else, and I couldn't for the life of me think where they were. So anyway, there's some of my ties. And the silver grey one in the middle that has pride of place, because that's my wedding tie that's been with me now for over 40 years. So great. Anyway, Jacquie, that's enough about me. The award-winning Jacquie Mount, another Luca to your tally. And justly deserved. I mean, I think it was great. Whoops, sorry.
Well, that's lovely, and I'd just like to say to thank all those members who voted, because it means so much that it actually came from you. So I was very touched. Thank you.
And they are genuine votes from the members.
Sorry?
You know, they are genuine votes from the members. It's not a question of it's time Jacquie got an award. It's nothing like that at all. And I think thank Furlough it's Friday might have had a little bit to do with it, which is
possibly just a minor bit. I think, yeah. Okay, anyway, and right, we're getting okay. Well, we know where the priorities are going today, everyone, because we get the comments coming in all about your tie collection.
Oh, right. This is by the way, the Institute tie with the crest at the bottom. I don't know how many of you have ever seen these things, but they are great. And Leslie Ellis, our vice president, he actually ordered the first set of these way back 24 years ago. I remember that they offered us a single red line, and I said, no, I want a double red line, because that's like at the bottom of our crest. And that was because Leslie told me that when you put a double line at the bottom of a set of figures, that's it, you know, you're done. So I thought, well, we've got to have that. And here we are, my double tramp.
And I have a feeling that Leslie still has one of the original orders in his collection of ties. Because for those who know Leslie, he's got a pretty impressive collection. I'm not quite sure it's as good as yours anymore, Garry, because I made him get rid of a load. But anyway, so much for the tie collection. Okay. A couple of questions coming already. I'm just going to go quickly through a couple of just announcements, very few, because there's not much going on this week that's new as far as furloughing is concerned. But we have got some questions coming in. And and the ties are going to go all afternoon. Okay. Just a quick few, before I get into coronavirus, some MTD stuff. Can I remind everyone that the soft landing extension for penalties for MTD for VAT comes to an end on the 31st of March. Now, for those of you who were part of the summit, can I ask you please, please, please to go at some stage, if you haven't listened to it already, and listen to Verna's MTD talk, because she has got all the up-to-date information. She is our contact for MTD, which is why we suggested she did that, and she's great. So she's got a lot of information there. But the soft landing comes into play from the 1st of April, which means that you must now have, for all your compulsorily VAT registered clients, you must now have the full digital audit trail going through, and everything must link in and everything must be done properly, because the penalties will start to kick in. Now, it's not an automatic penalty. It's a bit like driving. You'll get penalty points, and you'll build your penalty points every time you do something wrong. And then when you reach your maximum amount, You don't lose your license for VAT, but you get a fine. So the points could be there for as long as 2 years, or for 3 or 4 good VAT returns to make sure that everything is okay. So okay, so that's MTD, and also that from April this year, April 21, you will need to make sure that if you're acting as an agent, all of your VAT returns are being done from the new agent services account, not your old agent online account, because the computer system is being changed from the old mainframe to the new system that they're using. So do keep an eye on that, because that is important. And things like direct debits have got to be changed over and everything else. So please keep in mind the changes to MTD that are coming up fairly soon. The only other thing I've got to say on MTD is that there is a consultation that has literally been issued this week on MTD for self-assessment for corporation tax. So I haven't had a chance to read it yet. It's a short document of about 95 pages, as HMRC consultation documents often are. So I'll be working through that, and I may very well come out to members for some comments. We've got till March for that to go in. So we've got a reasonable amount of time to get a response, and I want us to get a really good response in. The four consultation responses that we submitted earlier this year, the results are now out, and I've done a summary for Garry of those, and we're hoping to get some comments up onto an article for you at some stage. So that's all going on. There is an announcement out from HMRC going on to furloughing now, which I have to say, I'm still trying to get to the bottom of how it's actually been written. But what it actually says is that for businesses who make people who have employees on a statutory notice period, now that I think that's either redundancy or resignation, for periods on or after the 1st of December, which is 10 days, 11 days, you cannot claim furlough for anyone who is on a statutory notice period. Now, I have gone back to HMRC because the documents that have come out, I think there's a bit of a contradiction in there, but my lovely contact at HMRC has purely come back and reiterated what the HMRC is saying, so they're not actually saying anymore. So if anybody's got any other information on that, please do let us know, but I will try and keep you up to date with that, come back with some information as quickly as possible. Now, the SACE, the self-employment grants, what HMRC have done is they've identified a number of self-employment people who have claimed grants 1 and 2 that they believe may not be continuing in self-employment, i.e. they've decided to close their business down. Now, there are a number of reasons for them thinking this. It could very well be that they've deregistered with VAT, and that's what's triggered the letter. Now, it's only 1% of all the self-employed claims that were made that at the moment they are querying. But what they're saying is you have until actually today, I think is the last day, to confirm to HMRC that the businesses are still trading. So if you have a client who may have had one of these letters, you need to make sure that they've actually responded in an email to that to say, yes, we confirm that we are still trading. Otherwise, they will not be able to claim the third SACE grant. Right, before we get on to some questions, I've had conversations with 2 members this week who have very kindly allowed me to bring this out to you. Thanks to Bev Arnold, who brought this one up with me. Now, Bev has a client who had made people redundant and brought them back to furlough them, which is perfectly okay because we checked the dates and the dates are all valid. But when they've brought them back, we were trying to decide what date they should bring them back on. And because the new furlough scheme starts on the 1st of November, we brought them back on the 1st of November. But the claim form that Bev was trying to put through is actually refusing to allow these people to be furloughed. And she's very kindly, she's rung HMRC, she's very kindly come back to me with some information. If you have clients who are in this situation where they have made employees redundant or employees have left and want to come back, that is fine. And you bring them back from the 1st of November, but you cannot claim for the furlough claim online You have to ring HMRC and do it over the telephone. Now, that's literally been confirmed in the last 24, 48 hours. So anybody's in that situation, please do make sure that you get into this and you ring them. And the other query that we've got at the moment is it's an ethical issue. And again, this has come from Audrey. We've been talking about this morning. Now, we have our own views, the two of us, but we'd like to put this out to you for some comments. Now, there are two directors who own two businesses. They're hospitality businesses in Scotland. One is closed down because of COVID restrictions, and the other is working reduced hours. So whichever zone they're in Scotland. And the staff are all being furloughed, either fully furloughed or partly furloughed. Now, the dilemma that we have is that the two owners who are directors are not working, but they have gone to Spain for 4 months over the winter period. And the question is, should they furlough themselves or not? Now, the reason that they've gone abroad is two reasons. One could be because the businesses are shut down and they can't work. But actually, these two directors go abroad every winter for health reasons, not COVID related. So my question to you is, what is your view? And I'd like to get some instant feedback as to whether or not they should be claiming furlough. And it's just a very brief straw poll. In this situation, do you think they we'll come up with the answer at the end that we've decided is probably the best thing to do. But I'd just be interested in your comments. Right, so a couple of other things to say, just some links for you. Companies House have issued an announcement this week that please do not leave filing with Companies House to the last minute, to the deadlines, because of the delays and the time it's taking to process things. There is an article going out in the next week. And also, we're going to start looking in more detail fairly rapidly now at what's happening with imports, exports and VAT from the 1st of January. If you are in this situation, the Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, BEIS, have some brilliant links coming out every day. I'm getting emails from them every day. So if you or your clients are in a position where you're importing and exporting, we will be covering this, but please do go to have a look at that if you're in that situation. Okay, let's have a look at some questions.
Got one here. Can we talk about the taxation of business, leisure and hospitality grants, says Linda Walker? Yes. Now, I have been in touch with, now Rebecca spoke about this in one of her talks at the summit. Now, I have already been in contact with Rebecca about this, and I have to say I've asked her for a clarification of the FRS 102, because Rebecca's view, and this is the view of the ICAW tax board on which Rebecca sits, so I have to say I would bow to her better knowledge of this, says that if you were given the grant in, say, March, then it should appear in the 1920 tax year. Now, I have got a query on this because I read the FRS 102, and I am not a tax specialist. I'm very generalist, so I could very well be horribly wrong here. But when I read the FRS 102 on government grants, it definitely says that if it's a grant to cover future costs, then I think it can be accrued. Because anyone who got the grants in March or April, that is to cover your expenses coming out in the next 6 months, say. So my personal view is that it should be accrued, but Rebecca's view and the view of the ICAW is that it shouldn't be accrued. It has to be shown at the time at which the grant was payable, which in this instance was early March when it started to be payable. So any more questions on this? I am going to follow this one up. But I've got a feeling this is going to go round and round for a little while. So bear with me. As I said, it's my personal view, it's how I read FRS 102.
I did email her before the summit about it, but I didn't actually get an answer, so I will follow up on that one.
Joanna Crompton said, Gary, never mind your superb tie collection. I spy a model locomotive behind you on the cabinet. I couldn't miss that. What is it? Joanne, you might remember, is actually, she works on a steam locomotive. I think she actually shovels the coal and something or other.
Oh,
She's
wow.
a woman of many, many talents. Actually, Joanne, it's something I had when I was about 5. It's a wooden train. I don't think I'm not necessarily a particular train, but it's been with me for a long, long time. And it was probably secondhand when I got it. So goodness only knows how old it actually is. But yeah, it's got a trailer with logs on it. Got a fender, it's got all sorts of things. So well spotted you.
Well done, it's amazing. And doesn't it look good up there on the top of the bookshelf?
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Right, okay.
Okay. Hi Bev. Bev's with us this afternoon. I am getting loads of queries on furloughs calculations going back to the beginning of the year, because we said what's happening is HMRC are sending out investigation notices into furlough claims, and we sort of said early on that we hoped if you did your calculations correctly, it's highly unlikely that we will get any investigations. Well, I don't think we got that many, but we do have a couple of significant HMRC investigations into furlough claims coming on, and I'm actually in the process of working through with 1 or 2 members exactly what the claim should be and why we think we're right and why HMRC think we're wrong. Now, if you get an investigation letter, the problem is if you ring them, HMRC can't tell you what the query is. They are not going into detail with you about why HMRC has raised a query. We've got one at the moment where, for a number of reasons, salaries changed on the 1st of February. They were put up because the company, this particular company, got a big new contract, and everybody's salary went up to allow for the extra work. And that was February, and they were paid that in February on a fixed rate. So therefore, the company has based the furlough on the increased rate, because then when they went into furlough, that's what they were basing it on. And if you look at the fixed salaries, then yes, it was paid in February. So that's the month that they based it on. However, the problem with this particular business is that they're on quarterly RTIs, and the last RTI was made in January when the salaries were a lot lower. The next RTI was made in April when the salaries had gone up. But what HMRC are saying is that it should have been based on the last RTI. So there are loads of queries coming out at the moment, which we're going to have to deal with and go back. And it looks in the first couple of instances, because HMRC moved the goalposts, that some of our calculations may be slightly out, and we may have to go back and rework those out and possibly pay some money back. Now, the moment the clients that we know of are being very supportive and accepting that, you know, our members and they did the best they could do at the time. So we're trying to work through this with you. If there's anybody else who's got any real issues on this, please do email and I will get back and we'll try and see if we can sort it out, because I'm actually getting a bit more experience in this as well at the moment.
Linda Walker says, Rebecca Bennyworth on her lecture said for a 31st of March year ends, the 10K and 25K grants should be included in the 1920. I find this to be inequitable and unfair. Can we lobby HMRC, as they have not actually formally announced how to treat this, although they have for SACE, and they now say that a special box will be put in the 2021 tax return?
Well, the SACE grants will fall for self-employment, of course. That's slightly different, because most self-employed people, their tax will go from 6th of April to the 5th of April. And the first SACE grants didn't come in until after that, so they will be in the 2021 tax return. The particular query we've got that I think Rebecca was dealing with is corporation tax, so limited companies who can have a year end at any stage. And that I think we do need to follow up on, and I agree with you. I think we do need to do a bit of lobbying to get this clear for limited companies. Self-assessment is less of an issue because it's definitely going to come into this year. So, and because it only covered a period of 3 months, and it was the income grant, this is different to the larger grants that were given from local authorities. So yeah, I agree with you. We'll be on to that one fairly soon.
Shelley has sent us a link. This is the link which says you cannot claim for employees serving notice of redundancy from the 1st of December.
Yeah, that's the one I was saying about earlier. And I'm waiting. They are bringing out some further guidance on that, HMRC have said. So it's watch this space. But do be careful if you've got people, and I don't think it's just on redundancies. I think it's on notice statute, people who are completing a notice period. So what it is there are 3 paragraphs in there, and it's the middle paragraph that seems to contradict the 2 either side. But do have a look at it. We're getting some answers in on our ethical question.
Yeah, they're coming quick, haven't they? Lee Chapman, if it's not in the spirit of the scheme, don't do it. Helen Armstrong, I wouldn't if I was them, just taking advantage. Debbie Rowe, ethically, I would say no, they shouldn't claim.
Oh,
Terry,
I love you all. You're so good.
They're not available to work if required, so no furlough.
Okay, what we've actually decided, thank you for that, because that literally backs up what we feel. Because they haven't gone abroad for COVID reasons, they've gone abroad anyway. However, what we've decided to do is, because you can take holiday in furlough. What we've decided to do, because they haven't had any holiday this year, they're going to take 28 days of annual holiday and furlough that, because that is allowed, because you can take a holiday and then pay the rest. It's a minimum amount. They're paying themselves the minimum amount a month. And then the rest is going to be taken as leave or whatever, but they're not going to claim for it. Even if they take their salary, they're not going to claim. So I think that's what we've ethically decided to do. Unfortunately, now that Audrey's gone back to her clients on that, they've now said, well, if this is what you think, we'll be guided by you. So I think that's what we're going to do. So ethically, no, they're not entitled to furlough, except for the 28 days when they are officially going to be on holiday. So that.
So our members were very lively during conference. They were on the social every minute of the day. I mean, right the way through, and a lot of them into the chat rooms, etc. And it would appear that they're still alive and kicking, because we're getting such a lot of response to this. You've got Lisa Phipps here. I read that you shouldn't furlough someone. Naomi Griffiths, I don't think they should be entitled to furlough. I think we'll get all these answers printed out, and then we can have a look at them properly. Alison Bradley, I would ask if they usually continue to work remotely when abroad. Faye, I think I suggested with normal Christmas leave, office shutdown, furlough wouldn't apply. Wow. Yeah, it's
and so the questions about, are the directors working? No, they're not working on income generation, because one of the staff is acting as the manager to manage the pub. So there's no issue about them. They've just gone abroad for 4 months. So we'll see.
Sylvia Hill, who apparently is a good employer, according to the Lucas. I'd really like to know that one about the grants, as it meant that I paid an extra £1,900 corporation tax. Okay. Nikki, I'd be interested to hear further about the potential accrual of the hospitality grants, as I have a hospitality client whose accounts I'm waiting to file.
Okay.
Yeah, a few people.
Regarding, did you read that one, Gary, from Linda? Regarding SAYS claims and ceasing to trade, if a client has claimed SAYS claim and then wants to transfer to a limited company, will HMRC ask for the SAYS claim back? Yes, they could do, because originally the rules were that you had to intend to trade on through 2021. It didn't actually say for how long in 2021. But I think, to be perfectly honest, what's happened, with due respect to HMRC, is they got all of this out very quickly, and we knew that they would have to reconcile it at the end. And it's now that the legislation is starting to catch up, and they're starting to really look at the effect of what they did, that they're starting to really check. And yeah, hopefully, if you've got your calculations there, we've got 1 or 2 that we are working through at the moment. And I have to say, I've sat here every Friday and gone through the whys and wherefores of how it works, but you're the ones that are sitting out there doing it. And now I've actually got involved in helping some of you with your claims and recalculating. I've realized just what an absolute nightmare this was for you. So, you know, my hat off to you all. I think you've done an amazing job doing this. It's all right when we're sitting here talking, spouting theoretically, you're the ones that are doing it.
Thank you, Nick, for your comments about Summit. Yeah, thank you. We enjoyed it. I'm glad you thought it was fantastic. That's great. And I think we're sort of done on those. How we're doing that? Wow.
Right. Questions and answers. There's one from Bev about calculating. Bev, I'm going to come back to you with that because I need to think about that and work it out. So Bev, I'll come back to you on that one personally. Can you bump it across in an email to me and I'll come back to you on it, Bev. Does MTD soft landing covering fine effect clients who are under the VAT limit? If you have signed up for MTD for VAT, whether you are over or under the VAT threshold, then if you signed up for it, you have to fulfill. And yes, the end of the soft penalty is for everyone. So if you voluntarily registered and went under MTD, then you are covered by, I think you are covered by the new regulations. Can somebody put a link to the MTD webinar I was referring to? If you have access to the summit, so if you've bought the summit ticket, you will have access to that MTD webinar. If you haven't, unfortunately, you won't, but there are plenty of MTD webinars being put out by HMRC, but the one that Verna did for us is on the summit. It was there, I can't remember if she did it on the Tuesday or the Wednesday. I think it was the Tuesday.
Yeah.
So have a look and you can have a look at that 3 months. But unfortunately, if you didn't buy a summit ticket, you won't get access to that. And you'll have to go to HMRC, but there are loads coming up from HMRC as well. No, everybody believes that our directors, Audrey, if you're listening, everybody believes that the directors shouldn't be claiming furlough. So I think we'll go with the holiday and leave the rest of it.
One here with a number, I don't know if that's a telephone number. What it is, client has received a PAYE late return penalty. Could you please cover how this may have occurred?
It could be that the PAYE wasn't submitted by the due date.
Simple as that, is it?
Simple as that, I think. If you are late with a PAYE return, you will get an automatic fine. And what I would say to that is, when I was practicing, and I'm going back a number of years now, I did a PAYE submission, but I forgot to check that it had actually been successfully received. So I did the upload from the software, never confirmed that it had been received, and it hadn't gone because there had been an issue with it and it didn't actually go, and yeah, got a fine. So could be any reason. D agrees with us on our ethical thing.
Yeah. Should we appeal against the penalty? There's no harm in appealing against the penalty, but you've got to have your facts right, or else they'll just penalise you again. Probably they'll have you down as an awkward person as well.
You can appeal, but you need to find out why you've been given the penalty, because you're just going to have to find out why the penalty was issued, and there could be a number of reasons for that. And Andy's come back with, is the date of the notification of the grant that counts, or the date it's received? I would think it's the notification date rather than the date it was received, but I will go away and do some more research and come back to you on this one.
Catherine Lee's got one that sounds right up your street, Jackie. Question about the new CIS, domestic reverse charge.
I have a question about the new CIS domestic reverse charge. My client is a property development landlord business that registered. If they use a main contractor for future developments, is my client the main contractor or the customer? I have a feeling, I would have to check it, but I've got a feeling that your client will be the customer. So not subject, because it is the end user. And you have to go back, it's the final person in the chain. Because if your main contractor will probably charge you VAT for the work, so therefore you can claim it back under a normal VAT return anyway. So you'll still be able to claim it back. So you are the customer. So you are I think the client is the end user on that one.
Debbie Rowe, in relation to the council grants, but specifically the discretionary grant, this hadn't even been mentioned in March, but was first mentioned in about May time. Therefore, is it right to assume that it does not have to be included in accounts to the 31st of March, as it could not have been anticipated or expected at that time?
My personal view is yes. ICAEW's view, I think, is slightly different. And I think Garry and I need to go away and do a bit of research on this, because this is actually an accounting standards issue. because it's the wording in the accounting standard that I'm having some problems with. And my first port of call is going to be, we have a tax examiner. I'm going to go and speak to her first and see what her views are, and then we will go and talk to a few other people. Now, Sylvia's come back. Sylvia Borhill, hi Sylvia, has come back on our penalty question. Assuming that it really is a reasonable excuse, always check when submitting the FPS late that the reason box has been ticked to avoid the penalty. I hadn't thought about that, Sylvia. So did you actually make it late, the return, and didn't tick the box to give the reason, or are you not sure that it is late and you're querying why the penalty is there to our member?
Yeah, I think you have to know and understand. If you can't understand, you need to find out, obviously, but just go back over what you've done and just check that it wasn't.
And Sylvia's got a possible workaround. She said, you can go into the client's accounts, and where a late fine has been applied, you can change it to a reasonable excuse and it will go away. Well, it's a good idea to try. Thank you for that, Sylvia.
Wow.
Right. Okay. Kirsty's got a query. I tell you one thing, your queries are getting so complex. It's unbelievable. Pub is closing and the landlady wants to finish her employee. The new person, oh, this is a TUPE thing, where you're transferring the ownership. I have a feeling that this is the one Kirsty and I have been talking about, and neither she nor I have come up with an answer for it yet. A landlady is handing over the lease to a pub, and the new leaseholder is coming in to run the pub. And I think we had this as part of and Magali was putting some input in this on one of my breakout sessions. We're saying that if you come in, is taking over the new staff. So basically it's a sort of a TUPE agreement. But my problem is it's the date of the transfer, because as I understand it, the transfer had to have happened prior to, I think it's the 23rd of September for that to happen, for them to be furloughed under the new owner. So again, that's still on my list to answer, folks.
Sandra Reeves has got one here, Jackie. Now, you do a lot of work with the Tax Agent Strategy Group. She said she set up her agent services account just before MTD VAT came in, brought my clients across for MTD, filed all VAT returns using my agent services details ever since. But if I now log in as HMRC, it no longer shows my clients' names, just that I'm not registered for any services. If I go to my old HMRC online login, my clients are there, but if I want to view a submitted return, it throws me out. Says that they're on MTD. Am I doing something wrong? Has anyone else had this? Should I have re-registered for services at some point in the last 2 years?
To be honest, I can't think back. I know when the agent services account was set up, there was a real issue with linking things across. And I know from talking to someone that there is one of those accounts, I think it's the agent services account, where you don't actually see your clients. And that's in the online services for agents account, where you list your clients, you migrate them across. But I think, if I'm right, you may not actually see those clients. So again, Sandra, if you want me to look into that, can you send that into us in an email, and I'll investigate it for you, Sandra.
Audrey's come on to say, thank you all for your comments on my ethical question. Good to know my morals are still standing up to scrutiny. Audrey, we didn't ever suspect anything else. But
no, I know. That's what we both thought. You know, I went back to Audrey with some answers with my initial thoughts this morning, but we did decide we'd throw it out to members today just to see what everybody else do.
Right. Mary King, now I bought a ticket to the summit but missed the links to join in. Can you please let me know how I can watch the seminars now? What I'll do, Mary, I will get somebody from our team to tell you how to do that, because to be honest with you, I don't know. There's always somebody doing it for me. So I can't tell you that, but we've got Alex, I think it is online today. If you can just drop us, just make sure, I haven't got the database in front of me, so I don't know if we've got one Mary King or 21. If you can drop us your membership number on this, and then he'll pick that up and make sure somebody gets that link out to you.
Kirsty's come back on her 2p issue. You're right. HMRC said they can be as long as they were furloughed on or before 31st of October. Employee transfers under 2 and on a change in ownership for claim periods ending on or before 30th of October, a new employer is eligible to claim in respect of the employees as long as the business succession rules apply to a change in ownership. The employees being claimed for have to have had previously had a claim submitted. Right. So they're saying that it can be transferred then, but they have to have already had a claim. So a new claim can't be, but if they're in an existing claim, then hopefully it should do. How that works in practice though, Kirsty, I'm not sure, because as you know, I don't do actual uploads and RTI submissions at the moment. So I'm really looking a bit blank on this one, I'm afraid, but Kirsty and I are in touch on this, so we'll try and see if we can get this sorted out.
Darren Salter says, furlough question. Client has an employee that was pre-furlough on 30 hours per week and was furloughed in April on those hours. However, when they came back, their contract was changed to 40 hours per week. They're on furlough in November. Is the furlough based on 30 hours or 40, as her new contract says 40 hours per week?
Well, I think it's 30 because if they were eligible to be furloughed before, then I think we have to use the existing hours and wages. However, a new employee coming in who perhaps started would be able to use the new hours.
That doesn't seem quite fair, but
no, again, I know. I think there's an anomaly there. I said this during the week in the summit that there seems to be a bit of an anomaly here between old staff and new staff. Mary King says, when you say CIS domestic reverse charge, do you actually mean the new reverse charge for building construction services? Yes, I do. Right. Desi has come in and said, we have a client with employees who were not on the previous furlough as they were not on the RTI before the 19th of the 3rd. Can they be included in the current scheme from November if they were on the FPS in October? Yes, it had to have been submitted by the 30th of October. So whatever they were doing at that period, if there is an RTI for them, then you can furlough them now and claim the furlough for them. Oh, and Mary's come back. Actually, we've got a couple coming back. Someone has said, have a look at your Sage VAT tool. Other projects also apply to view your ASA account details. And we've got a couple of people coming back confirming that if you log in to the client's account for these fines, reasonable excuse seems to keep the fines at bay. Okay.
You do say there other software providers are available. The sponsors that we had for Summit were pretty evenly matched with the feedback that we're getting. Obviously, Garry Turner, as always, did a blinder. He was very well received. But we've got some very, very positive feedback on the Sage University and some of the things they were talking about. Intuit's involvement as well, that came up very, very high. Which is really good to see, because that means we've got people coming from all different schools of thought, all different software usages and users and clients. You know, it's good to be part of that broad church. And obviously a lot of the add-on stuff came in as well. And so, yeah, it was good to see. And it's nice to see when people are having all these considerations and what they're doing. They're all doing it differently, all working to the same goal, all using different paths, different software, different advice, different clients. It's a heck of a world we've created out there, Jackie.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, and free agents as well. I must stress they've just been reaccredited for another year with us, so they're going down pretty well as well. Yeah.
Faye has come back and said, HR told me that if a furloughed worker has returned to work and then refurloughed, we have to use the new rate. Well, that's interesting because that is not what HMRC is saying at the moment. They are very specific. I think the reason that HMRC have said they must use the old rates is because otherwise people could have put the salaries up hugely and then be refurloughed now and claiming a lot more money to enable them to put the salaries up. But
yeah,
I'd like to say I would be interesting to see where this HR department is actually getting their information from, Faye. If you could possibly point me to a link, send me an email, you've got my email. Possibly send me to a link here on that one.
I think this is a similar vein here. Jessica, have you seen this one? Desi?
Yeah, I think that was the one with, that's the one I said about can they be included in the current scheme if they were on the FPS. I have to say that a lot of the information is up on HMRC now. What I did find it difficult to find this morning is going back, because of these investigations we've got going on, you're going back to the original March information, which is impossible to find on HMRC. And then all of a sudden, right at the bottom of the extended furlough article there, I did actually find a link to archived documents, because what HMRC have done is all the original stuff that covered the first couple of claims that have now been and done has been archived, but it is there and I did find it, and the particular member I have sent the link to. Dee has come back and confirmed you can't see your clients on the agent services account, only on the software you are using. So presumably in your software, you've set them up as on your software, you've linked them to the agent services account to upload your VAT returns, and you can see them from there. I think maybe after April, I think HMRC are going to take about 3 months to close the old system down. And I think once they're all on the same system, we might find a lot of this is going to disappear, and you'll have one account and be able to see things, I hope. But again, if you've got any queries on that, then do let me know, and I will go back to Verna and ask for some information from Verna, and she will come back with it. So.
On a couple of ICB TVs, Jackie, you've agreed with Martin Lewis on the money programme, and Naomi Griffiths has just said that apparently in the last programme he agreed with you. I'm not sure if he mentioned you by name, but I'm sure he did. But you know, your fame is spreading. Whatever. But anyway, so it's good to know that you're in good company anyway. So
now, interestingly enough, when I was trying to find the original stuff, I went right back to try to find his archives on some of the very early ones that he made, but they seemed to have disappeared, and I was getting all sorts of other things. So, yes, if you remember back at very early days, I contacted HMRC for some advice on this, and the charming lady on the helpline, on the coronavirus helpline, did suggest that I actually listened to Martin Lewis because he knew more than they did, which I thought was quite amusing.
Just come back to say, kindly, can you email me a copy of the archived information? Well, the archived information is all on the database. Yeah,
if you go on to the extended coronavirus page on gov.uk and scroll to the bottom, you will see a link to archived for previous information. It's near the bottom somewhere. But yes, so it is there. It is there. If not, can you email into member services, and we'll try and get the link out to you through the member services email, please. One from Debbie, someone on the chat during Ian Holloway's presentation also put the link in the chat. Right, okay, I'm going to copy this. No, I can't copy it. Iris, if you're can hear and can see the questions, there is a link on Debbie's. Is it possible to move that across to the chat line? Oh no, someone's just put it up on the chat line. Sorry, Kevin's just put the link up there, Desi. Webarchive.nationalarchives.gov. Fantastic. Oh, you are on the ball, folks. Friday afternoon, far more than I am today. hopefully all panelists and attendees, hopefully that's up there now. Okay, brilliant. What's Mary saying?
Haven't received anything yet, and nothing in spam.
That wasn't the link. Not sure about that, Mary. Sorry.
Yeah, I asked you if you'd send us a number, didn't I? Your membership number, so that we knew which Mary King to send it to. I'm not sure if you did that or whether we've just guessed the right Mary King. But anyway, if we have a look at that, I'll when we go off air, I'll ask and see what happened with that. You should have had it. If we've got the right email address for you and we've done something, then it should be there. There we go.
Kirsty's saying she put her number in the questions. We can pick those up because we can get access to these afterwards. Oh, I'm sorry, the connection was poor. Desi, if that was the link to the archives, Kevin has very kindly put the link up in the chat. So if you copy it from the chat, then you should be able to click on it and get to the archives that's gone up there. Okay.
Right, I think we're coming to the end of the questions. Okay. Right.
I think that's all I've got for you today.
Great. I think it's been a long week. For our marketing team, it's been even longer.
Oh, amazing.
Been here for quite a while now, some very late hours, but I think the platform was very well received. We're looking at the possibility of keeping the platform open beyond this week. So I think it will disappear, but I'm going to try and get it back because the social interaction was just amazing. And so many people on there said, please, can we have this? You know, we'd like this on a regular basis because it's great to meet people, great to talk to people. I've had a lot of personal notes from first timers just saying that this was so great. Everybody was so helpful. The team, ICB, were helpful. The other members were helpful. A couple of branch chairs have tried to convince them to go on to branch meetings, etc. So, we're all part of a team here. Everybody works together, whether it's Paula Beasley Smith and the advisory council. They're all there wanting to get your impressions and what your needs and what you want so that they can feed that back to the executive at ICB. ICB is obviously doing all it can to get you to the front of your profession. So it's a whole team structure, and you buy into all of that with this with your annual fee. So that's always good. I was a little bit not negative, but I was a little bit wary of how well the Lucas had gone when I did my closing the other day, because it was a bit hair-raising from our side, and I wasn't quite sure how it came across. And in response to that, I've had, at the last count, I think 6,500 people saying, don't worry about it. It went well.
Yeah.
It was a bit of fun. We had a laugh at your expense on occasions, but it doesn't matter. Everybody deserved their awards. And, they named a few people like Yvonne Body who were so thrilled to get their awards. They were genuine rewards for everything they've done. So that is good. I must admit, I didn't have as much to do with it this time. I mean, Jackie, you did, because you did, 5 presentations and a couple of live?
Well, no, I had to do one live, actually. The other 4, they were all supposed to be recorded, but I will say that there is a slight issue. I don't know what I did wrong, but there is a slight issue on mine videos with the synchronization between the voice and the video. So I've had a few people contact me about that, but it's still there. And actually, there is a question come up about how can we get access to that once the panels, once the interaction bit's gone. Well, the videos will be available for you, I think, for a period of 3 months.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long, as I say, Gary's looking at extending the interactive bit of it, but the videos are there for 3 months. And even when that's finished, I think I know Amy, I've spoken to Amy, we are looking at possibly making those available to use as CPD materials for people that might want to buy some extra CPD, or have access to things or whatever.
We had a lot of interest from non-members, obviously, and therefore we're going to do something specifically for them, but trying to get them to become members. And it's surprising how many people gave us, you know, five out of 5 for everything that we did. And you know, their association or their institute doesn't do this amount for them. So we're talking to every single one of them to try and get them to come into membership, because basically this is what we do. You know, we always like to lead the field, and I think we normally manage to do that, as we proved with this. We're now working on Inspire Tour and Conference 2021 and the branches, etc. And you've got another question, Jackie?
No, I was just saying there are a couple of things up here. Desi, I would just say I've got your question down about the rates. I will come back to you on a one-to-one on that one. And there was one other. Oh, yes. And did you ever show the videos from the Lincolnshire and North Yorkshire branches? Was there an ICB TV?
Not yet. We're going to do that next week, so look out for that. Apparently, I thought it might be happening today, but it's not, because I didn't want to hold Jackie back and take up any of her time. Actually. So it's very difficult to do. So we thought we wouldn't even try. But we will.
Lee Chapman, sorry, Gary, Lee Chapman's asking the CPD value of the summit, and will it automatically input to our CPD link?
It will be a seamless upload, but it won't be automatic, because we had to take it off this brand new platform we bought and put it onto our Sedalis database. So it will be moving across. The team are working on it at the moment. Unless somebody interrupts now to tell us exactly how long it's going to take, I would say it should be with you shortly. Which is the politicians' answer when they really don't know what they're saying yes or no to. But it will be coming out. It will be going up there. We've got a track of who's done what, and it's all being accumulated at the moment. Most of you stuck it out right to the very end. I mean, the number of long presentations that kept 96% of their audience for the entire presentation is just fantastic. You obviously got a lot of benefit from it, and so that's really good. Well done, you all.
The last thing I think I would say is that the questions that have been raised today on the hourly rates and various other bits and pieces, rather than try and get back to you individually, I will upload and update the COVID hub on the website with some links to things. So I will probably get that done for the early next week, hopefully. So that's things like the hourly rates, and there's a link about the 1st of December, not including COVID, all those sort of things. I haven't had a chance to do yet, but I will get that done for you.
Angela Visor said, for a non-member looking to transfer brackets. I like that, Angela. Well done. How do I know how many CPD points to claim? Somebody will be in touch with you about that, Angela. I'll make a note of that, and what have you. Kirsty St. John says the last live panel on Wednesday evening was brilliant, real live wire. I think Juliet was very, very good. She was a toughie. Obviously, she has journalistic training, and she doesn't like to let anybody get away with stuff. And she kept throwing in a few curved balls to try and get people off their guard. But I think it went really, really well, and it was very, very good. So thank you to Juliet for that. And yeah, we're going to look at doing some more stuff with Juliet, because that experience shows, and it's good. It's good to push you into corners you don't normally go into, which is great. Naomi Griffiths says, I agree, that last panel was one of my highlights. It was well worth getting Juliet in to help. Please have her again. Yeah, obviously, she's a very professional lady, which also brings a price tag with it, but if we can afford it, we will. And
Tony Quinn says, have you heard from the Chancellor yet? Read his Luca Award.
I was hoping nobody would mention that. No, he's gone completely stum. I've not heard a damn thing from it, so I'm very annoyed about that. But yeah, I am going to try and find out what we do about that, because one of the minions came back and said he was over the moon and various other things, but whether or not that is correct, I don't know. So I want to try and get him on in the future anyway, because I mean, the trouble is, whenever you give somebody like that an award, it looks as if we're sucking up to government or something like that. But actually, it was genuine. He was actually originally down as one of the personalities, and then it was decided that we should take him out of that because it was different. And he was really there as the figurehead of a massive organization of, I think, 20-odd thousand people, all working from home, coming up with laws, regulations, and everything else. I mean, it's incredible amount of stuff. I mean, I've just been working with Lucy Brown to try and get a terms of reference for the new Sanctions Review Board. It's taken us version after version after version, and you think you're finished and you find something that doesn't quite make sense and you go back to the beginning. How do you change the entire structure of paying tax and VAT? I mean, wow, it's just incredible. It's completely mind-boggling. So he deserves the award, and I hope he takes it on behalf, pick it up very shortly on behalf of himself, but also obviously of the massive machine that works behind him.
Okay, somebody's asking if James from Tax Filer got his qualification pre-summit like he half promised. The answer is I don't know. Unfortunately, we couldn't tell you anyway online because it would break data protection.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Jackie. It probably would, wouldn't it? He can tell you.
We can't give that out. So if you've got James's email, push him for that one, Kirsty.
Yeah, we must get that one done. Yeah, okay. Everybody seemed to go down very well. There were no negative comments at all about any of the speakers, which is really good. So yeah, it was a brilliant week. I mean, that was it still is just about ending now, a global bookkeeping week with a difference. And it started at, I think, about 1 o'clock in the morning our time with New Zealand, and worked its way through, and we've had some fantastic work from other people. I mean, it was lovely to see Alison Ball back again. She's been on the social media saying she's just never seen such a committed group of people in her many years in bookkeeping. She thinks we're all wonderful, and it was just like I suppose riding a bike, if you like. She just slipped straight back into ICB, and we were very pleased to have her. And we're going to be doing some more with her as well. But lots and lots of other people there. So that was great.
And just one very quick comment from Yolanda said, I only managed to see the conference for the first day because I'm so busy, but it was very good. Well, don't forget, Yolanda, you can go back and watch all the presentations again for at least 3 months. So, there is no reason why when you have a spare half an hour, you shouldn't sort of dive in and do that. So don't lose the link to the platform, because all of those presentations there, I think the live panel discussions are no longer available, or won't be available, we think, but unless Amy's worked a miracle again with that one. But certainly all the presentations will be available till February.
I think there was some quite eye-opening panels this time. I mean, particularly hearing about imposter syndrome and people not thinking they should be here. Well, as I said in my opening comments and in my last comments, look, you're here, you've passed your exams, you're good at what you do, you have every right to be here, and yeah, let's show the world what we're all about. And I think something that came across is that ICB is looking after you, it's looking after your standards, but next thing you want us to do is start banging the drum and getting you out there and talking to other organizations about how good our bookkeepers are. We do this all the time. We need to tell you a bit more when we do that, but I think that that's the area where I think we'll be spending most of our time over the coming year, because there's a lot going on, and my own imposter syndrome, that's turning up without a tie, thankfully is now over. I do feel much better dressed with my tie, I have to say, so we'll be doing a number of things over the next couple of weeks before Christmas. They're not all finally planned yet, because, to be honest with you, most of the market team is having a couple of days off because they need the rest. And so when we all manage to get back together for a chat or a Zoom, I think it'll probably be Monday, we'll plan at least another, this is 93. We've got to do at least another 7 sessions to get to our 100. So we'll let you know what they're going to be. So apologies to Catherine Pyman and the fantastic group in her Yorkshire group there for not showing the film today. We will show it next week. It's lovely, very short and lovely, all about Razor Cup Day, and there's no harm in remembering what that was all about. And we'll also be carrying the film that was created by Lucy's branch, Lucy Brown and her branch. So that's coming up next week. It's worth seeing. It's good. It's yeah, it's a bit of a tearjerker, but you know that's what we're here for as well. So, Jackie, I think we're done.
I think we're done. I think that's everything.
We need to get on and get a rest, eh?
Yes, and have a lovely weekend, and I'll be hopefully back with you next week.
All of you have a fantastic weekend. Have a rest if you can, and we'll be there for you next week. And keep sending us the things that you liked about what we did, because that's going to base our entire plan for next year. That's going to be the base for everything. So we only give you back what you say you want, hopefully. So thank you very much. Thank you for attending in your thousands. Thank you to the over 50,000 of you that liked what we did. And we will see you again soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.